Hank, as you know, Joel, doesn't really like to talk about himself, but the three of us and your whole family were up in Toronto last month for the Hockey Hall of Fame induction. And I thought the two of us could pin Henrik down and talk a little bit about that weekend and our experience while he's here sitting in the chair.
Well, it was amazing feeling to get there, to have the whole family there and just celebrate Henrik and his career for sure. I felt like it was recently with his retirement in New York, but this was one extra moment to really be proud, super proud, and just take it all in. For me, having a long career in Sweden, really appreciate coming over and meet people that being close to Henrik and just like I said, take it all in with his career over there and being in the Hall of Fame now. It's something I don't think he was even dreaming about growing up or didn't know what it was maybe.
Hanky, compared to your expectations going into that weekend, like now you've had a month to reflect on it. Like how did it stack up?
It was incredible. It really was, and Joel touched on it, just to have that opportunity to bring your friends and family together. And you know this, Jay, we have a great crew here in New York, but we also have a great crew in Sweden. And over the years, we get these groups together, and it's just so much fun to see everybody hanging out, having fun, and get to know each other even better. So that alone was special.
Yeah.
And then, it was a full weekend. Friday, you had the press conference, and then we received the rings. And that was cool to see the ring.
Yeah.
You walk, I'd never been to the Hall of Fame before. So to walk in there and see the history, obviously the history, but to actually see it. And it's a reminder of how long this great game's been around.
Yeah.
And you're part of it, and you're part of a very unique club now, which is, I'm so honored and grateful for that. But it was a lot going on the whole weekend with the commitments around the Hall of Fame, but also the parties, late nights, and play the game on Sunday, which was a lot of fun, But I remember, a lot of people came up to me. It's like, how does it feel? And it was weird because the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it was a lot of fun. It was great, but I didn't really have the emotions until Monday. And I never forget, because we had a walkthrough, at the hall for the night, the ceremony with the production company, and we were going through, the timing and where to stand and all that. And I asked them, like, who's going to present my plaque? Because they kept it from me. And I, 2 weeks earlier, I asked them who's going to present it. And they asked me, anybody special? And then I said quickly, is it Patrick Roy? And they said, no, he doesn't do that. I was like, okay, that would have been cool, I thought to myself. And then on Monday, again, going through with the production company, it's like, it's going to be Patrick Roy. And it just hit me. Like, you
got a little emotional?
I got very emotional because it was almost like I took a step back and full circle. Wow, this guy was such a big inspiration to me growing up as a kid, and now he's going to hand me my Hall of Fame plaque.
Yeah.
That's when the emotions hit me. And then obviously the sermon at night, and to see him up there, and that made the whole weekend, come together in so many ways. And then talking to my family and friends, and that's when I got a little emotional too.
Of course.
Throughout my speech.
Yeah.
I was doing fine until I locked my eyes on my family sitting there on second, third row, and that made it tough to keep it together.
Yeah, the speech was awesome. Funny anecdote about Patrick. So, Joel, we were all hanging out after the ceremony in the great room where all the plaques go up. And we got to just mention that, like, how great a guy Lanny McDonald is. And he's now the chairman of the Hall of Fame. And he's just an amazing steward of that organization. He cares so much about every detail. And you can really tell because, you know, like the team he has working there with him, like they're just so dialed. And so anyways, we were just chit-chatting around the cup that was there. And Lanny's like, yeah, it's funny because, you know, when I gave Hank the call to get into the Hall of Fame, like I had one person in mind to give him his plaque. And so immediately after Lanny called Hank, he called Patrick Waugh. And for whatever reason, Patrick's like, I don't really do that kind of stuff. I'm probably not going to be in town. And Lanny told me that he called Patrick every month from that time and just bugged him. And and Patrick's like, you're right. I'm going to come and do this for Hank. And so I just thought it was like a really amazing, like what a guy, Lanny, just because he knew how much that would mean to you. And it's just so thoughtful.
It's amazing. And I'm sure Patrick's not going to listen to this podcast, but I want him to know that it meant a ton to me, that the fact that he was there and he gave me the plaque. So thanks to Lanny as well for bugging him.
I'm sure it was an easy ask. Joel, what was your, any standout memory from the weekend for you?
No, it's a little hard to really, feels like it's a lot of emotions, of course, and like Henrik says, all the old players and that environment, it's hard to really put in perspective. And now Henrik is in there with all those legends, and it's cool.
It's it's surreal almost, and it is always great to celebrate with your friends and family for any achievement. And growing up around you guys the last 20 years, your bar gets kind of raised, and so you're like, oh, jersey retirement. But it was and so I didn't know what to expect going into the weekend, but it was like, it kind of blew my expectations out of the water just because it was so like the build up every day. There's kind of added to the day before, and by the time Monday came, it just felt like, wow, this is a one-of-one experience for us.
Yeah,
I was just so proud.
Too, as a player, you can control what you do on the ice, but being like in New York with that retirement and going in the Hall of Fame, that's what other people think you've been doing for the sport and for the team. So that's something else. Like you can control what you do on the ice and you know what you've done. But when other people really think so much about you after your career like this, for Henrik, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Proud moment.
Yeah, no doubt. It was the one challenge was it was so busy. There were so many like events. So take us and our Club 30 listeners behind the scenes a little bit. What was like? Did you get to appreciate, or did you feel like you were just being shuttled around from event to event?
No, I mean, I knew going into the weekend it was going to be super busy. Mm-hmm. A lot of different things. I mean, I saw my schedule.
Right.
So with that in mind, you try to make sure, you're on time, Joel, to your earlier point, but that you enjoy the moment.
Yeah.
And obviously, having the jersey retirement here in New York a couple of years ago, that was also very intense, with so many different things. But to find that peace and enjoy the moment is very important. So that's what I try to do. And then every night was just a new experience. But I was in the moment, and it was so much fun, and then playing in the game. So many legends on the ice, and we finished the game with Peter Forsberg coming down on a breakaway to try to tie the game, and it was a perfect ending.
Yeah,
with the. I haven't skated since I retired, so I didn't think I would ever put the pads back on, but I did for that game, and I just loved to compete.
Yeah,
it was really a reminder of why we love this game.
Yeah,
just the competition, especially the one-on-one. When you face one, I love that, going one-on-one with a guy and see who.
I looked sharp.
He did look sharp.
I was surprised. I was surprised how good you were on the ice there. So it was
well, he skated
impressive.
for 3 weeks straight before.
No, but I skated 3 or 4 times. Like and the body was holding up pretty good as long as I didn't do too many breakaways. Then it was like my groin started to get a little sore. But no, the competition part is definitely something that I miss a little bit.
Yeah.
But
and how about the gear?
The gear, yeah, we had custom made gear for that game with the Hall of Fame logo, and I gave it to Lanny after the game for them to keep in the Hall of Fame, and so I wrote my signature, and now I still have to practice the HHOF 23, and I also put in save percentage 100 with a smiley face on the pad. So if you're ever in the Hall of Fame, you can see, there was no goals scored on those pads. So, but it was also a moment where I could tell how much it meant to Lanny, that like the Hall of Fame, and like, yeah, he was very grateful, and to me, I was extremely grateful for the entire weekend.
Yeah.
That opportunity.
Yeah. Anybody that you guys saw or ran into up there that you weren't expecting?
An old teammate, Mike Modano. I was just before we went to the ceremony to sit down. We were on the line like pretty fast, and I was just walking by and just quick say hello. It was nice to see him. Like, I haven't seen him since I was in Dallas, so it was just fun. But I was a little shocked and surprised. But he was a big idol for me too. Growing up, I had 2 posters on the wall. It was Peter Forsberg and Mike Modano, and I was able to sit next to him in the locker room like 20 years after I grew like my childhood there. So it was pretty big.
That's awesome. Hanky, what about you? Anybody?
I mean, the biggest surprise was Patrick Roth. Yes, he was there.
Yeah,
that was the best one.
With all the other inductees, did you get to chat with them a little bit?
Absolutely. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, to get to know both Mike Vernon and Tom Barrasso. Playing in the 90s. I remember, I was a huge Patrick Roth fan, and Dominic Hasek, but I also had a poster of a bunch of other goalies, and Tom Barrasso and Mike Vernon was definitely on the wall as well. And it was just fun to hear stories, you know, and we talked about equipment and pads and the differences with the game, but I loved it. All the inductees, it was awesome to get to know them. Yeah,
they did all did an amazing job on Monday night. All right, last Hall of Fame question. We can keep going, but now that you've had some time and some space after the career, and even after the jersey retirement last year, like did the Hall of Fame weekend make you look back differently, or give you different kind of feelings about your career?
The jersey retirement was extremely emotional for so many different reasons. In the way it was a little closure, but it's just so honored to have that happen. Hall of Fame. I mean, I look back at my career with a lot of, gratitude. There's definitely parts to me that I wish I did more. No question about it. There one more. But I do look back and I know in my core that I did everything I could in the way I trained or prepared. And I'm just, it makes me happy and smile when I think of the memories, but also I'm part of a very unique club, and I'm ready to move forward. Look to what's next. But every time I do look back, it is with a big smile. It really is.
Yeah. You can't ask for anything more than that.
No, and I've had so much fun on the ice, and with Joel, with all my teammates and trainers, coaches. It's there's so many good memories that I'll bring with me for the rest of my life, and I'm sure it's the same with you, Joel. That the game, it is about competing. It's about trying to have fun, or try to win. But the game has given us so much more. Yeah, more than playing a sport. It's relationships and lessons and guidance. So hockey, as a kid, you think about the actual game, but now sitting here reflecting on our careers, you think about how much it's actually given us as people.
Yeah.
And you gotta enjoy the ride, like every day. I mean, I love the game, love your work, and I think that's been a key for us to have that passion for the game. to really enjoy it too, not just the competing, winning part. It's just we love the game, and it's been a big part of our careers, I think.